My name's Matthew Cayley, and this is called For Howard Devoto, who many of you will know was the lead singer of Mancunian post-punk group Magazine. And he wrote the greatest couplet in all rock music, which goes, I could have been Raskolnikov, but Mother Nature ripped me off. I've lived by that couplet. So this is for him. It seems to be about him, and then it tails off into the Antarctic for no particular reason. For Howard Devoto. Apparently, the sound of a glacial stream or the great flows, the trace a glacier leaves behind like a flaw. No face since Isidore de Casse has calcified to such a carapace, or summoned what the curled-up fossil knows, that is, everything time has been through. We can't suppose, what with the world turning, that a stalagmite under the northern pole isn't a stalactite under the southern. So, no matter how we extol the Arctic turn, when a glacier moves grit in its wake, no one hears. No one hears the popping of Bloodaxe in the pebbled gully. No one hears a glacier toil. Not the passing fleet with their silos of whale oil run low. Not that scuppered hull. What time has lost we summon as we skirt the permafrost.
This is one of those black giraffe poems called Black Dog. From the inward night of the unconscionably tall arched doorway, the shadows commence a faint, unnerving undulation. They wear an awful sheen, as if the shade has been interminably brushed after being treated in some sciency new conditioner. The aperture takes on shape, the hard sway of a long, high neck, and the absurd, tiny slope of what, in another creature, might have been its shoulders. Black Dog. Some animal trader's corrupt attempt at a half-understood Swahili term. His name is inked into him like a torturer's signature mark. The single specimen they ever found. A male giraffe, black as the whitest sunlight, blacker than the white crocuses on the ornamental flower beds, or the ultra-white of the open-eyed woman's white crepe blouse. It is merely a matter of waiting and everything happens. The chimpanzees write Titus Andronicus on their toy typewriters. The sea lions bring down a gazelle, and the eels walk on two legs to the north gate and go home. I feel a sensation of overwhelming disgust. I make myself turn and leave the side of the enclosure. Thank you.
And so this is probably a poem about borders of various kinds. Almost in sight. That was the summer of the early bees, of the big heat, steam in the tamed street. We'd go up north. It's always cooler by a few degrees. Take off, leave a smell of diesel on the tar. Glad that we would suck our stomachs in at customs, braced for the questions. Where are you going? Where have you been? Spotting those braves, helmets branched in green, out on maneuvers on their knees. All morning we fight over the window, practice I spy, put Piggy in the middle, until the cabin watchtower with one eye comes into view, its high-up door benign. It ducks, begins at peekaboo, tucks in tight behind the hill. We pace the road that's blasted through the drumlin, knowing our tower is shifting side, we'll pop right up as soon as we say 0. We're told that summer inches over ground. No bees here yet, but midges that gather in the dusk. Trees slow to leaf have not quite hid the sign, sniper at work. Light fades just as we leave, afraid our southern car could lead to something more than cousins spending time as planned. Even the bread is different, comes in rounds, farls quartered with a steady hand. away on roads so good it could be Mars. We'll look for change, white street signs and painted curbs, places where they trade in fair exchange, gluts of kids who stand around on bikes with haircuts we have seen in magazines. We'll stop to get some sweets we haven't tried, new bars to keep for after lunch at Grand's, when we have lost the maze in willow plates and go to visit graves with names like ours. But look, we missed the cross, meant for the lark to ask the guard, how many feet, how many inches from the posts, if there's a line that lets you know your place, and if they ever feel like slipping out and jumping through at night to say, I was in Ireland once. No matter. There's always next month's trip, the day that Granny gets her pensions in. She hands us pounds, clean and strange and crisp. We grin at Her Majesty. Check the watermark. Thank you.
Lost child. Scrape the ditch that fits Hobbs Moat to Hatchford Brook. Look through oak roots, the horse field, uphill to Elmdon. Is she hiding behind that sky blue Lexus? Shout towards the airport. Planes rise and fall as if ground were a shaking blanket. Up there, the air hostesses smile. Inflate your own life jacket first. The small, original airport building stands apart, a mother at a school gate. Pearl was playing quietly, alone. My ear is like a shell the wind swept. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Andy Brown. I'm going to read a praise poem. It's called A Poem of Gifts. I wrote it, I'd just been reading one of Heaney's essays, I can't remember which one, in which he says the poet's job is to delight in language. So I just stuffed this poem full of delightful words. And my daughter also delighted me when she was born, so it's a dad poem, if you'll indulge me. I want to give thanks for the garden, already in bloom this March, as I sit here with you, curled like an aleph in your papoose. For the balsam of your chatter, echoic and fluid like an elva in the wash. For the flexion of your tongue, throwing muscular vowels into the fuzz of sun and dew like the musical chimes of a gamelan. For the brouhaha of the blackbird as it picks at a red berry or last winter's lingering hips and haws. For the synod of starlings gathered in the oak. For the peony's growth we can almost hear surging through the soil. For my dibber pushing through the clod to sow the seed that promises blue borage at the bottom of the plot. For the bubble of the acorn exploding underground. For the dewlaps on cattle chewing cud in the fields beyond, their calves impatient at their udders. For the kazoo of insects busy at the nectaries of cowslips and daffodils. For the fresco of morning, for the whole gamut and hex of spring. For your mother in her workshop unloading the kiln, for the hubbub and jabber of her radio, for the hoop of love that rolls on with no beginning and no end, for the unknowable nuances of change, for the nub of pleasures which elude me, for the koan of why, for the ingots of your eyes, for the honey of your dribble, for your tabula rasa.